Welcome to the latest episode of the OC Show. I'm your host, Donnie Henderson, and I'm excited about today's show. I'm going to get right into it. I want to let you guys know that I appreciate all the feedback that I got regarding the last show. I got a lot of responses. I'm going to go over some of those responses today, and we'll discuss it. But before we get on with the show, the OC Show is brought to you today by IDS Hair Care Products. Check them out on TikTok at IDS Hair Care, and on Instagram, IDS underscore hair care on Instagram. TikTok, check her out at IDS Hair Care. Instagram, IDS underscore hair care. Great products from IDS Hair Care Products. I use them on my beard and on my hair. Great products. Check her out. You will not be disappointed. Last week we asked the question, is it possible for a woman to coach men and be successful in professional or college sports? I got a lot of great feedback, and I want to go over some of the answers because I told you guys last week that I wanted to hear from you, and I want to interact with you guys to kind of see what your thoughts are on some subjects like this. It's kind of an interesting question, and we're going to get into it right now. Again, the question, is it possible for a woman to coach men and be successful, whether it be professional or college? There's several different levels to it. I'm going to get to what some of the responses I got from you folks. Gaboya on Facebook said that she says yes. However, it would take some time to explain why she thinks that. But the bottom line is that she thinks that women can be successful in these arenas, with the caveat that they are received by the men and those men respect what the women can do for the program. If we have a bunch of male chauvinists who do not think a woman can bring anything to the table, it will not work. Great answer from Gaboya on Facebook. And what I'd like to say in regards to that is I think she's absolutely right. Now, if you're playing a sport, and if you're doing anything in life, and you want to be successful, you're going to take the proper advice. We're going to stick with sports because that's the arena that I'm most comfortable with, and that's why I do this show on sports. If you're going to take advice from anyone to be successful, whether it be a male or a female, what's the difference? I want to win. I didn't play basketball at a high level. I played high school and did not play in college, but I did coach, and I will kind of go with that lane, the coaching lane. I coached for several years, varsity high school basketball, and love being around the sport. If I was still coaching, and if I ever get back into coaching, I will attend coaching clinics. And coaching clinics are usually put on by other good coaches. If there's a coaching clinic near me that Dawn Staley was the head of, I'm going to that clinic. Why? Because she can coach at a high level, and she's probably forgotten more basketball than I know. Why wouldn't I want that information from her? Now, as a coach to another coach, that may be a little bit different. So you might say, oh, that's a little bit different as a coach to a coach. But if we're talking about a player getting instruction from a female coach, you'd be pretty foolish not to take any kind of instruction from a successful coach like a Dawn Staley, like a Coach Yo over at Ole Miss, or a Kim Mulkey, or several other different coaches that the research that I've done and reading about some of these coaches has just been extraordinary to kind of see where I know where I stand on this, but to kind of see where other people are getting their opinion from. Kevin on Facebook says, yes, it is possible. The only blockade is sexism, and that can and should be that the only blockade is sexism, and that can and should be overcome like any other form of bigotry or prejudice. Now, sexism in sports is a real thing. We're not going to get into anatomy and biology today, but we all know that men are stronger than women in most cases when it comes to, just being physical. That's just the way it is. It's just the way God made us. Now, you're not going to have a you know a woman college basketball player for, let's just take South Carolina. We'll stay with South Carolina for right now. You're not going to take a South Carolina women's player and a South Carolina men's player and swap them and expect the woman to perform on a high level on the men's team. It's just not possible. It's not likely. I mean, I guess it could happen, but it's just not likely. But when it comes to sexism, you have a lot of men out there that are like, nah, I'm not going to watch this game because it's not as, you know, it's not as athletic. The game is not as athletic. It's not as fast. It's not as high flying. And to each their own. If you don't want to watch women's basketball, that's your preference. But far be it for anyone to say that they are a true sports fan or say that they're a a purist in the sport to not be able to give it a chance. I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of different friends that are coaches and they have a lot of different opinions. And as we discuss things as regards to men and women's sports, we've grown a lot to kind of say, you know what, we want to make sure that women's sports are kept in the place that they're supposed to be kept in and not downgraded. We don't, I don't think that women's sports, women's basketball especially, should be something that is considered less than. It's not less than. It's a different game, though. We'll get into that at a different time. It's a different game than the men's game, but it's not less than. And the more and more I watch high level women's basketball, and I'm gonna say it like that, I'm gonna be 100 with you. High level women's college basketball, because some women's college basketball is just not good. Just like there's some men's basketball is not good, but high level women's basketball, college basketball especially, is pretty entertaining. It's pretty entertaining. Shelly on Facebook, she gave me a pretty long one. I'm going to kind of preface this. Women can absolutely coach men in team sports. The real question is, are men willing to receive coaching from a woman? And that depends on each individual man and the level of consciousness they are at. Do they respect women? Do they see women as weak? Do they see women as competent? Were they raised to appreciate women's perspective? Are their pride and ego in check? Are they open-minded and willing to learn despite the narrative history has set up about women being less than men? These answers will differ from every man on the team. Great answer. Great answer. Let me answer these questions here. Do they respect women? You've got to respect any coach. If you don't respect your coach, whether they're a man or a woman, you're not going to be able to be the best that you can be. So you'd be foolish not to respect whoever the coach is. Do they see women as weak? Again, we're not going to get into anatomy and physiology and all that. Women can absolutely coach men in basketball. That's what I think. If you don't think that Coach Yo and I saw an interview this week with Coach Yo on a different show. If you don't think Coach Yo out of Ole Miss can coach men, you're fooling yourself. And you'd be a fool, man, boy, not to take instruction from someone who has extensive knowledge like a lady like that. Were they raised to appreciate a woman's perspective? That's a good one. How were you raised? How were some of these young men raised? I was very fortunate to have very good parents, very good family that I've come from, and a very good, extended family. And to respect women is very important. Everyone has their role. We all know what our roles are. And I'm in a marriage. Me and my wife have our roles. We all have roles. It's not without respect. If you don't respect women, then you've got far more issues than just not being able to take coaching from a woman. Are they open-minded enough? Are they open-minded and willing to learn despite the narrative history set up about women being less than men? Again, that goes back to your how you were brought up. Women aren't less than men. Women's roles are different than men. This is not going to be a that type of a subject today. Everyone's role is different. Know what your role is and adhere to it and do what you're supposed to. When it comes to a sport, a game, If woman X can tell me how to win, I'm going to listen to woman X. It doesn't matter. Um, we've got some other ones on TikTok. I actually got some feedback on TikTok. Charlene says, yes, if the men receive them as the coach. Well, I kind of got messed up here. Uh-oh. Oh, we got to get back to Charlene's comment here. But pretty much she's saying if the men receive her as a coach, it would work. Again, what do you want? What's your goal? What's your goal? If you're playing a sport, what's your goal? What's your main goal? Your goal is to win fairly, to win ethically. I don't care how that is. And that's what's missing with sports today. I'll get into a whole subject about the downfall of college sports with the NIL and the transfer portal and all this stuff. It's not about winning anymore. It's not about going to a team and being loyal. Yeah, I get it. If your coach leaves and you transfer, that's a whole different situation. But these young men and women are just transferring at the drop of a hat because they just, I don't like the situation that's going on here. I don't like it here. And they just think that it's just, you're like going in and out of, you're going to Walmart, then you're going to go to Target, then you're going to go to TJ Maxx, then you're going to go to Burlington Coat Factory. It's not like that. And it shouldn't be like that to be able to just go from here to there doing whatever you want. If, like Charlene was saying, if the man received them as the coach, if the man receives her as the coach, then, it'll be able to work out. It's out of the team's mentality. If the whole team receives her as the coach and the message is good and it's a successful program, then why wouldn't you want it? The main goal is to win. And if she can help me win, I want to win. I don't care who's giving me the advice. TikTok, another one from TikTok. The exclamation point hate it simply just said no. And so I said, well, thanks for your comment. Why not? I'm assuming this is a male. I'm not sure though. The hate it says women can't lead men. If they could, single mothers would raise better boys. Really? Okay. This is not a this is not a show on single parents and how they raise boys and this and that. Let's kind of get to the meat and potatoes. And I hope the hated is watching this. The exclamation point hated is watching this. And I do appreciate your answer and I appreciate your opinion. Women can't lead men. Wrong. Especially in the context you're talking about. Now, everyone has a role, absolutely. And the role of my mother was when I was a boy to show me the way to do things. I had my mother for 17 years and she told me right from wrong. Was she perfect? No. Are all mothers perfect? No. But to bring that into this subject is totally off base in my opinion. The question was, can women coach men in sports, not lead them in life? Women can't lead men. Now, there's several companies out here that they're women CEOs and they're very successful. There's several, if you go in any walk of life in any industry out here, there's several females that are in authority and those companies are doing well. This is an ignorant comment. This is a comment that is coming from, like was said in some of the previous comments, if the man is not a male chauvinist. This gentleman seems to be, and I believe it's a gentleman, I believe it's a man. He seems to be a chauvinist, and he seems to have some kind of hurt feelings about women leading men. I can't disagree with him more. Women can lead men. And as far as him saying if single mothers would raise better boys, how about this? And I have my thoughts on this. If single mothers would raise better boys, well, if the single mother is a single mother, why is a single mother a single mother? I mean, I don't know. Did the man die? Or are you talking about the single mother being abandoned by some man who's not taking care of his issues? There's a lot of different things. I could go on and on and on about this, but that's not what this show's about. But to bring up single mothers would raise better boys, that's not what this is about. All in all, and we're going to end with this because there's going to be a part 3 to this. I believe that women can coach men in team sports. And let me back up. I believe that women can coach men in basketball. Let's go to football. I had a discussion with my uncle regarding this one, and we had a little bit of a differing opinion. And when it comes to football, I don't think a woman can coach men and be successful. Why is that? Tune in next time, and I'll get into my thoughts in depth on why I don't think it would work. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it would work for a woman to coach men, boys or men in football. Thanks for watching today. I appreciate it. It's been fun. I thank you for the feedback that I got from everybody regarding this subject. We'll get into next show about my thoughts on football and women coaches in football. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. See you next time.